Evelyn sat alone in her dimly lit apartment, the hum of the city below muffled by her tightly shut windows. The storm outside was a slow rumble in the distance, promising rain but refusing to deliver. She had been working late to the evening, the glow of her laptop the only light in the room, when the power went out. At first, she thought it was a trip breaker, but a quick glance out the window revealed the rest of her building was dark too. With a sigh, she lit a candle, its small flame flickering weakly in the still air. The shadows it cast seemed to stretch unnaturally long, twisting and curling like living things. Evelyn glanced at the mirror across the room, a tall antique piece she had picked up at a thrift store last year. The ornate gold frame gleamed faintly in the candlelight. She often admired it for its craftsmanship, but tonight, it seemed oppressive, looming in the darkened room like a silent observer. Her eyes lingered on her reflection and her breath hitched. Something was wrong. Her reflection was not moving. She froze, her heart hammering in her chest. The woman in the mirror was her. Same long dark hair, same tired eyes, but she was utterly still, as if frozen in time. Evelyn lifted her hand to touch her face, and her reflection remained motionless, its blank eyes fixed on her. The corners of the reflection's lips began to curl upwards into a slow, sinister smile. "Hello," Evelyn whispered, her voice trembling. The reflection's smile widened. It felt like a mockery, a cruel imitation of her own expression. Then, to Evelyn's horror, the reflection began to move on its own. It raised its hand, not in unison with hers but independently, as if it were a separate entity altogether. The hand curled, a single finger extending to beckon her closer. Evelyn stumbled back, her legs hitting the edge of the couch. Her breath came in short, ragged gasps as the reflection mouthed something she couldn't hear. The candlelight flickered, threatening to snuff out, and the shadows seemed to grow darker, pressing in around her. The reflection's eyes widened, its lips moving more urgently now. Though every fiber of her being screamed at her to run, Evelyn felt her feet moving toward the mirror, drawn by an invisible force. As she approached, the reflection's features sharpened, the grin splitting unnaturally wide. "You shouldn't have stayed," it whispered, its voice soft and breathy, yet echoing as if coming from all around her. "What do you mean?" Evelyn croaked, her voice barely audible. The reflection tilted its head, studying her like a predator sizing up its prey. Then, in a blur of movement, its hand reached out and slammed against the glass. A loud bone-rattling crack echoed through the room, and the surface of the mirror began to spiderweb. Evelyn stumbled back, but it was too late. The glass shattered, and she felt a cold, numbing sensation crawl up her limbs. She looked down in horror as her hands began to fade, her body dissolving like smoke into the air. Her surroundings shifted violently. The next thing she knew, she was standing on the other side of the mirror, staring out at her apartment through the fractured glass. She pounded against the surface, but her hands made no sound. Through the jagged shards of the mirror, she saw herself, or rather, the thing that now wore her face. Her reflection stepped through the frame, its movements fluid and confident, a twisted parody of her own. It turned back to her with a smirk, eyes gleaming with malevolence. "Thank you," it said in a voice dripping with venom. "I've waited so long to get out." But Evelyn screamed, but no one could hear her. She was trapped in the mirror, her voice swallowed by the void. The creature that now inhabited her body stretched, laughed, and walked out of the room, leaving her to watch helplessly as the candle burned out and darkness consumed her world. And then she heard it. Soft whispers from the depths of the mirror, other voices trapped alongside her, begging for escape.